Welcome to the assembly video for the Jumpking family 10x15 rectangle combo. This video will walk you step by step through the process of putting together your new trampoline. Frame assembly. Lay out all tubes labeled A through G in leg assemblies. Connect the top rails into 4 sections. Take G, A, B, and C top rails and connect them together as shown. Take 2 H, L-shaped legs and 1 I and connect them together. Take the first H and insert the tapered end into the I leg tube. Align the screw holes and take a self-tapping screw and screw it into the hole. Repeat with other H, L-shaped leg. Align the screw holes and take a self-tapping screw and screw it into the hole. Take the completed leg assembly and insert it into the T-connector on frame assembly. There will be a little tension as you put the other side of the leg assembly into the second T-connector. You may need to push down on the end of the legs so they are completely inserted into the T-connectors. This is normal and will keep the frame together. Repeat with other G, A, B, and C top rails. Next, take an F, B, E, and D and connect together as shown. Take the first H and insert the tapered end into the I leg tube. Align the screw holes and take a self-tapping screw and screw it into the hole. Repeat with other H, L-shaped leg. Take the completed leg assembly and insert it into the T-connector on each frame assembly. Repeat with other D, E, B, and F top rails. This step requires 2 people. During this step, you will connect the 4 sections together to complete the frame assembly. Take 1 F-cornered section and 1 A-cornered section and turn them over so the legs are on the ground. Insert the G end of the top rail into the F end closest to the leg. This should be able to stand by itself. Now repeat with the other F and A corner sections so you are left with 2 halves of your trampoline. Now bring them together, attaching D to E on both sides. The frame should now be fully assembled. Bed pad assembly. Check to make sure you have all the springs, bed, and pad. You will need the gloves, spring pulling tool, and safety glasses for this step. Lay the bed on the ground inside of your assembled frame. Make sure the warning labels are facing up. During this step, you will attach the bed to the frame using the included springs. Hook the 2 3.5-inch springs to the bed's colored stitched corner V-ring and attach to the corner holes on the frame. Next, go to the opposite end of the bed and find the other colored stitched corner V-ring and attach the spring to the V-ring and pull the spring using the spring pulling tool from the bed to the hole slot 180 degrees from the first hole slot. Attach the remaining springs in this order. Alternating in this order will help to distribute the tension, making assembly easier. When completed, your frame and bed should look like this. Lay the frame pad on the frame with the ties facing downward. Adjust the position of the frame pad so the openings are aligned with the T-connectors with welded tubes on the frame. This is where the enclosure poles will go. Lay the 4 safety pad pieces on the frame with the ties facing downward. Attach the safety pad pieces at each corner with the Velcro, tie, and straps as shown. Find the webbing straps near the edge of the bed. They are under the trampoline. Feed the strap around the pole and up through the D-rings and then loop it over and feed it between the 2 D-rings and pull downward to tighten. Repeat this with remaining straps. You are now ready to assemble the safety enclosure for your trampoline. Spread out all the enclosure pieces, making sure you have all parts for assembling the enclosure. The only tools you will need is a Phillips head screwdriver. You should have 8 bottom enclosure tubes, 4 top enclosure bent tubes, 4 top enclosure tubes for the basketball hoop, 4 middle enclosure tubes for the basketball hoop, 2 horizontal tubes for the basketball hoop, 2 basketball hoops, 14 self-tapping screws, 2 8mm by 15mm flathead screw and washers, 4 8mm by 40mm nuts and bolts. Take the enclosure middle basketball tube and bottom tube. Assemble the basketball hoop onto the horizontal tube with 8mm by 15mm screw and washers. Repeat with other basketball hoop. Connect the top basketball tubes and the horizontal basketball tube. Take the 8mm by 40mm nut and bolt and washers and run through hole and tighten. Find the tapered end of the bottom tube and insert it into the basketball middle tube. Rotate the middle basketball tube and bottom tube so the screw holes align. Then screw the tubes together using a self-tapping screw. Now, attach the top basketball tube to the 2 basketball pole assemblies. Take the enclosure top tube and bottom tube. Find the tapered end of the bottom tube and insert it into the top tube. Rotate the top tube and bottom tube so the screw holes align. Then screw the tubes together using a self-tapping screw. Repeat this with the remaining 3 bottom tubes and top tubes. Place 4 enclosure poles into the T-connectors with the welded tubes on either side of the trampoline. Now insert the basketball enclosure poles on either end of the trampoline. We are ready to attach the enclosure netting. Lay out the enclosure onto the trampoline bed. Adjust the netting so the enclosure door lines up with the yellow colored area on the safety pad. Find the sleeves that run along the top of the enclosure's netting. Slot the thin sections of the 2 black G3 poles into the metal ends so that the poles become 2 long sections. Feed the long G3 poles through the netting on the front and back of the trampoline. Make the shorter G3 poles and run them along the netting on the basketball side of the trampoline. Now, connect the L-shaped corner G3 connectors with each corner of the netting top. The G3 poles should be fully connected. Standing on the trampoline, insert G3 poles into the top of each enclosure poles in this sequence. Now, we are ready to stitch the bottom of the netting to the trampoline. Locate the cords. Tie the end of the cord through a V-ring on the trampoline bed. Thread the cord through the lower edge of the netting to the V-ring and webbing loop. Repeat this procedure until the entire cord is threaded through the netting. Keep the cord tight. Tie the end of the cord to the last V-ring that it reaches. From the underside of the trampoline, tie the remaining elastic straps through the V-rings. The trampoline is fully assembled.